New details emerge about the next Transformers movie that start the cycle of Michael Bay hatred all over again. The big four networks make a move about 30 years coming now, and they may have even bigger moves ahead. And robots now have a way to feel, but do they have a feel for entertainment? I'm Jess Kedding, and this is the news. I'm joined today by the biggest name in sci-fi, at least the business side of it. Richard Manogold. Thank you for joining me, Rich.
Always happy to give my insight.
Well, it doesn't take a great deal of insight to see why Michael Bay keeps getting work in Hollywood. The three Transformers movies together have made more money than the Avengers.
Business, as they say, is business. There are a lot of ways to make money in this world, especially in the entertainment business, and unfortunately, one of those ways is pure unbridled popcorn populism.
Hopefully, with Bay's promise that the fourth movie will take the franchise in a new direction, we'll have more than just a popcorn flick to look forward to. We learned yesterday that veteran actor Kelsey Grammer will play a human villain in Transformers 4. Apparently, he's someone whose use of Cybertronian technology for his own purposes draws the attention of evil robots, which necessitates the return of Optimus Prime and his crew.
I'm not one to comment on any one plot being better than another, but I think most people expect a Transformers villain to be a Decepticon.
You're not wrong about that. In fact, I think most people would have hoped to see the planet-sized villain Unicron by now.
Look, I know not a lot of people are happy with Michael Bay, but perhaps this new direction he's taking could be good for the franchise. After all, this fight between Autobots and Decepticons is taking place on Earth, and it's probably time for humans to play a larger role.
I think more people would have faith in that new direction if the creative team were not essentially the exact same team as the last three movies. But let's jump from the big screen to the small screen. The big four networks, CBS, NBC, ABC, and Fox, will start regularly airing new original programming in the summer months, starting with CBS's adaptation of Stephen King's novel Under the Dome.
Jess, this is a sign that the former broadcast networks are following the lead of their younger cable siblings. We're also used to the traditional format of 20-plus episodes a year, start in the fall, and in the spring, with reruns being the only thing we can really expect from them in the summer. But cable channels have been paving the way for year-round programming for decades.
We have a whole new generation of television viewers today, ones who are more used to 13 episodes here, another 13 episodes there. It's a more relaxed schedule that lets networks like USA and the Sci-Fi Channel run more shows. Gives them more ammunition when it comes to ratings, especially during times like the summer when cable channels usually pick up the slack.
I think it's time we start looking at all channels as cable channels.
That's a good point.
But you're right. Now that people have seen what season-to-season programming can do, now that some of the most popular shows out there are on channels like AMC and HBO, it won't be long before the old broadcast networks start following suit. The old format will hang on for a while, but we've been seeing hints with shows like Touch on Fox that start later and later in the season. Perhaps, in a few years, we'll see new shows popping up every 3 months on all the channels.
Perhaps. Competition between all the networks and channels will certainly become more fierce than ever before. The fight between channels, though, has kept most from devoting their attention to the larger fight, that of course being between television and the internet. Just yesterday, Google CEO Eric Schmidt basically said that the internet, including his company's own YouTube site, was not the successor to television so much as it was the supplanter.
As the saying goes, Jess, time marches on, and every true entrepreneur needs to keep up with it. It's not just about the seasons no longer being an issue. It's about a true 24-hour 365 days a year cycle. The internet is the medium that does not sleep. You and I are testaments to that.
Whoa. Let's not get too meta here just yet. There's still one more story about the future of entertainment to cover, and that's the story about Amazon using computer programs to select the next generation of storylines rather than whatever formula Hollywood uses. That program uses fan input on a wide range of subjects to decide what shows Amazon should develop for its own site.
That would seem to bring our conversation full circle. I'm sure plenty of people wish Hollywood would let the people decide, more directly, which shows and movies get greenlit each year, and who would be at the helm of each show. A blend of capitalism and democracy, you might say.
Thought's a good way to look at it. Of course, Amazon's model still has a long way to go to prove itself, before major or even minor television networks and movie studios are willing to adopt it. But with the potential, some might say actual, dominance of the internet over television, perhaps there are quicker avenues for this model to prove itself than the cable model had.
In the end, Jess, it all comes down to the same thing. Survival. You can see the instinct at work in everything these companies do. When they're confident of their survival, they coast. When threatened, they react. When they accept the idea that someone else has a better idea, they adopt it. My prediction, the next generation of entertainment will hardly resemble this one, and you'll see the influence of companies like Amazon and YouTube dominating the field.
Thought's a pretty bold prediction. Where do you see the future taking the field of robotics? Researchers at the Georgia Institute of Technology are working on a new skin for robots, a sense of touch that will allow them to interact more delicately with their environment.
You don't need to be a genius to see the implications here. It's the difference between working with mittens on your hands and without. Robots will be able to perform a much greater range of tasks, making them more effective at whatever they need to do.
And just what do you see them doing with their new sensitivity?
Any task that involves interacting with humans, really. Healthcare is the obvious answer. They may not be performing surgery on their own, but they can certainly provide other types of care to patients. And other emergency response scenarios could benefit from having someone with robotic strength and human-level touch sensitivity, such as search and rescue, bomb disposal, maybe even law enforcement someday.
Wow. Certainly not lacking for bold predictions today, are we?
We've all seen it, Jess. In science fiction, every scientific advancement, whether actually inspired by sci-fi or not, brings us that much closer to what we've been watching in movies and on television, and on the internet, for decades.
Well, it seems then the underlying theme of this show today is advancements we've been waiting to see for years. Except possibly for Michael Bay directing his fourth Transformers movie. That is all the time we have for today. He's Rich Manogold. I'm Jess Kedding, and that was the news.